Hi, my name is Do-hyun, and today I'm going to introduce you to a relatively new field of science, behavioral economics. Before we begin, how many of you have heard about behavioral economics? Okay, how many does know precisely what it is? Okay, I understand that it's not very well known, although it's a very fascinating and perhaps counterintuitive field of science. But first, let me briefly tell you about what economics consisted of before the idea of behavioral economics has developed. There are many models that describe consumers' behavior, and this is the most basic of classical microeconomics. And most major economics majors, including me, start by learning these concepts. So this is the basic supply and demand diagram. And you might be familiar with supply and demand. So this is the supply line and this is the demand line, and where those two meet, it's called equilibrium. And this is where the market price and the quantity of which the product is sold is determined. So as you might assume, this is all about theories, and the basic assumption of classical economics is that the more products, more choices, the better. Okay, these are very interesting concepts, and those who developed it further even got many Nobel Prizes. However, although these seem to make sense logically, we may have some difficulties applying it to the real world, and there was criticism because it does not exactly fit the perfect world described in the theories. So that is why behavioral economics has developed. Behavioral economics is basically economics plus psychology. Unlike the assumptions in economics where people are rational, people sometimes do behave irrationally in economical terms. And it focuses on what we do and not necessarily on what we say or think. The first concept of behavioral economics I want to discuss is that people make different choices when an irrelevant third option is presented. That is like asking you, would you like Coke? Would you like Fanta? Or would you like to lose your wallet? Okay, this may be confusing, so let me show you a real-world example. This is actually a subscription designed by the famous magazine Economist. And if you see here, the Economist subscription, the web subscription is $59. The print subscription, only in print, is $125. And print and web subscription combined is $125. So the second and third option has the same price, but the third option has more to get. So as you might assume, the first option got 16% of subscription, and the third option got 84% of subscription. So the second option got 0%. So I think, would it be better to remove it? Well, it turns out that it's not. With the irrelevant second option removed, the actual print and web subscription describing the third dropped to 32%, and the first option, which is $59, increased to 68%. And this is the first concept. The second concept I would like to discuss in behavioral economics is choice overload. We usually think if you have more choices and more options you can choose from, it is definitely better than having less choices. Well, behavioral economics is saying something different. More choices may make you worse off. There was a famous study of jam purchases in the supermarket. It's described over here. When shoppers were presented with 6 jams, 30% of the consumers made the purchase. Only 3% ended up buying the jam if they were chosen from a choice of 24 jams. Additionally, shoppers bought from the selection of 6 jams showed more satisfaction of their purchase. This means that offering fewer choice may sometimes increase sales. And the third concept is that our choices are determined by how the question is asked. Take this for example. This graph represents the proportions of drivers agreeing to donate organs. And these are the countries. And there's a drastic difference between the countries on the left and countries on the right. What do you think is the difference? People say it may be culture, because it determines how they care much for each other and for the society, or it may be their beliefs, their religion. Well, think about the difference of what causes this drastic difference. Well, it turns out that in the form, the way the question is asked is different. So in the first countries, in these countries where it showed a low participation rate, had this: check the box if you want to participate. In the second area of countries where it showed the high participation rate, showed check the box if you don't want to participate. So people usually choose what it is set for default, and the way the question is asked and the context of the question materially affects the answers we receive. To conclude, behavioral economics gives us some insights about our limitation in cognitive abilities. I believe the first step to making a good decision is understanding our limitations and taking it into account. I hope this speech has provided you with that. Thank you very much for listening.